Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's their time and bandwidth. Today's game is Rainbow Islands, the oft-forgotten sequel to Bobble. Rainbow Islands mixes up the formula significantly. Am I over the rainbow about it, or lost at the end? Let's find out. Rainbow Islands, the story of Bobble 2, is the follow-up to Taito's 1986 smash hit Bobble, and was released just a year later in 1987. The story follows Bub and Bob, now humans again, out to kill the Dark Shadow and save the Rainbow Islands. While some aspects of the gameplay carry over from Bobble, the core method of interaction as well as the level goals have completely changed. First, rather than bubbles, you now shoot rainbows, which in and of themselves are fairly complex in their mechanics. You can run up or jump off a rainbow, but land on one from the air and it'll break, falling straight down to the bottom of the screen. You can also attack enemies with rainbows, though if they're in the arch, they'll dodge it and get angry, as well as stack multiple rainbows for multiple platforms, and even shoot a rainbow while standing on one. How many times did I just say rainbow? Probably more than the rest of my life combined. The trick is unlike Bobble, where you want to kill everything, the goal of each Rainbow Island stage is to just climb to the top before the rising sea levels flood Florida and all the insurance companies pull out. Killing enemies is optional, though you'll want to do so because of how the game scores. Killing foes by just hitting them with a rainbow will spawn a random points item like Bobble, but killing them by dropping a jumped on rainbow down onto them spawns much better items. These range from a collection of colored diamonds, as well as power-ups including faster speed, more rainbows, and more. Hitting enemies with a dropped rainbow isn't easy, but mastering this mechanic is key for high scoring. After a handful of levels, you'll fight a boss, which honestly most are kind of mediocre. To get the true end, you'll need to grab all 7 diamonds and beat a stage for a big mode diamond, which unlocks up to 3 special islands, and clearing those gives you the real ending. And that's Rainbow Islands, an incredibly unique puzzle platformer with a fresh take on how the platforming should go about, maintaining only a few elements from the previous Bobble game. So what do I like about Rainbow Islands? Well, the combination of your attack also being the core platforming element is kind of brilliant, and it being an arch also makes for a high skill ceiling when it comes to mastering the controls. Additionally, the nuances around combat and scoring make each round a challenge, as trying to time rainbow jumps to dive bomb enemies to get gems and power-ups becomes core for high scores and later levels. And lastly, the game has a charming look, just like Bobble. And while they changed the music, I think it's for the better, as the original game had a copyright infringing Somewhere Over the Rainbow knockoff tune that was quite the earworm. When it comes to the bag, the biggest hurdle to Rainbow Islands is, unlike Bobble or Parasol Stars, the game is not nearly as intuitive to pick up and know how to play well. It has a much higher learning curve to both enjoy playing it as well as playing it well, making it a tougher game for newbies. Additionally, the lack of 2-player simultaneous play is a big bummer for this series. I kinda get why, as you can mess up a partner's rainbow platforms, and all of a sudden you don't have friends anymore, but it's still an unfortunate omission. And lastly, this game is really challenging, both for its aforementioned learning curve and just generally being more difficult than the other games in this series. This is in part because its emphasis on getting upgrades means that dying is a much bigger setback than Bobble and Parasol Stars, where you always have the same kit. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother, and Rainbow Islands is a unique twist on the Bobble formula. It's focused more on upwards platforming and precise enemy targeting is fun, and learning how to best chain rainbow attacks without falling yourself is engaging. It's a game with a high skill ceiling, but also asks a lot of you. One that runs with the idea of making your own platforming to the highest degree. While definitely not for everybody, I personally adore Rainbow Islands. So if you have a penchant for tricky, puzzly platformers, you should absolutely go give it a look on Arcade Archives. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played or heard of Rainbow Island? Did you know it was a sequel to Bobble? Please let me know what you think in the comments. Or regardless, go out there and give Rainbow Island a look.